something like the narrow issue of Britain's trading relationship with the US, which he raised, of course, during that interview, do you think Mr. Trump went into an interview like that with a strategy and a clear understanding of the political ramifications of what he is saying about Theresa May's Brexit policy and the kind of trouble that might get her into? Is that deliberate? Is he trying to put pressure on her?
You know, I think often he doesn't have a deliberate, thought-out, strategic plan when he goes into an interview like that. He answers the question and he responds with how he feels at the moment. So I think it reflects his true feelings, but I'm not sure I think it reflects, I'm going to say this, that will have this consequence, and then this will happen. I think that has not been his practice in the past when you watch the way President Trump operates.
Okay, Susan Page, thanks very much. Thank you. Okay, let's check in with the BBC's Tom Burridge, who is covering protests in Trafalgar Square for us. Now that Donald Trump has actually left London, I'm assuming that some of those protesters are starting to go home at the end of a long day out there. What's it been like there today, Tom?
Well, it's been a pretty extraordinary political day, Katja, but it's also, I think, been quite an extraordinary demonstration. Certainly the biggest demonstration I've been at in London since that demonstration against Britain's involvement in the Iraq War, and that was back in 2004. The stage is coming down, the rain is coming down too, several thousand people sticking it out, but this was absolutely packed out Trafalgar Square earlier on for a rally. So let's bring in a couple of people who've been at the demonstration all day, Sonia and Zan. What do you think was the sort of main message coming from people today about Donald Trump?
I think there was anger that he's here, anger about his racist and his sexist and his bigoted policies, anger at our government for just giving him the red carpet, and anger at politicians for not speaking out against him and having a bit of a backbone to speak up because we know that his politics has no place in this country, and most of the British public are very angry to see him here and angry to be seeing him on the big stage.
I mean, people who like him though do say that he's unconventional. He speaks his mind, and some people really sort of relate to that because people are generally turned off by politics in the West.
Of course, everyone's going to speak their mind as a politician, but some of the things, Trump crosses a line in every possible way, and that's another thing that we're here to say. But it's not only about coming out here to show anger, it's also coming out here to show unity. There were, like you said just now, there were several thousand people out here, there's still several thousand people out here showing unity in the face of the policies that Trump represents. We're here to say that no, we don't stand for it. Yes, we're angry, but we're also united in the face of the repressive policies that we think Trump represents.
So do you think that you're actually going to achieve anything today? Even if Donald Trump watches some of the images of the protests, we don't know he will, but even if he does, won't it just energise him further to keep going with his politics, the type of politics he likes to do?
Well, I think it's important today that we send a message to our politicians in the UK. If we look at the crowd that came out today, there is anger. There is anger at the policies that he represents. And also to send a message to our government that there's certain policies, like the way that they treat migrants, with women's rights, with reproductive rights, that our government has in a way been complicit with supporting. So this is a message not just to Trump, but to our own government, that we want the government to stand up to his racist and sexist, bigoted policies that are putting people's lives at risk.
Zan, it has been mainly left-wing people here, liberal people. Yes, a certain section of British society has flexed its muscles today, but does it really travel beyond that? A lot of people at Britain recognise the fact that he's the US leader, he was voted in, and Britain is a good ally, so therefore he has to come over here and be given proper treatment by our government.
Look, of course, world leaders are always going to have to make the visits and do the pomp and ceremony, but that doesn't mean we can't come out here and say we don't agree with what you say. That doesn't mean we can't come out here and tell our own government that we don't agree with the supposed special relationship that we're supposed to have with Trump. We are here to send a message to say, yes, Britain might be an ally of the United States, but we are not an ally of Trump, and we are not an ally of the policies he represents. And I think that despite the fact that there's a lot of left-wing people out here who would, like you said, there are a lot of represent themselves as left-wing, I think there's a lot of people who might not be so left-wing across the country, who might not be here today, but who would disagree with the policies that Trump represents. Maybe not as vocally as we do right now, but there's definitely a lot of resentment there.
One word, what next?
I want and Theresa May to stand up to Trump.
Okay, thanks both. Sonia, Zan. Yeah, it is clearing out, Katja and Christian, and the rain is coming down, so yeah, we need to go and get dry. But some people don't look like they're going anywhere, for now anyway.
Tom, thank you very much for that, and thank you to your guests as well. I want to share with you a little interesting fact about the gift that the Prime Minister gave to Donald Trump at the beginning of their meeting today at Chequers. He is the first president in 100 years that has a parent that was born in the UK, Mary Ann MacLeod, who was born on the Isle of Lewis in the Hebrides in 1912. So the Prime Minister gave to him the chart that traces his family line on both sides back 3 generations through the official records and the old parish registers. They've done their homework. The family line goes back on the paternal side to the birth of President Trump's great-great-great-grandfather, Kenneth MacLeod, born near Stornoway in 1776, the year of the US Declaration of Independence. And if I'd received that, Catty, I would have been pretty chuffed. That is a pretty good gift, and I'd be pretty miffed if I was handing it over to a president who treated me as Donald Trump has treated the Prime Minister.
Yeah, she didn't have the best of treatment, did she, with those headlines matching his family chart. And of course, he did point out the fact during the course of his visit that his mother was born in Scotland and his father, of course, was born in Germany. So he has European heritage on both sides of his family. Interesting picking up on what the young lady was saying there to Tom Burridge, because I had people during the course of the day emailing me saying, is there going to be a Love Actually moment at that press conference at Chequers where Theresa May suddenly turns around and says, we are a great nation of, I guess it would be Jordan Pickford's left wrist, not David Beckham's right foot, but we are a great nation and you can't treat us like this. Of course, she went the diplomatic route. I spoke to an advisor of hers, a former advisor of hers, who said not a chance. She is not going to do what Hugh Grant did in the movie, much though people might like to have seen that. That was not the most diplomatic course for her. So she didn't. The First Lady, Melania Trump, has had her own private engagement this morning. She was invited to visit the Royal Hospital Chelsea, accompanied by the Prime Minister's husband, Philip. Sean Lloyd reports.
Melania Trump arrived in the sunshine at the Royal Hospital Chelsea to meet an audience of young and old. She joined in poppy making with pupils from a local primary school and seemed pleased to have their help. The First Lady wanted to meet children and have the opportunity to promote her Be Best campaign, which focuses on young people's well-being. The Chelsea pensioners didn't know about her visit until this morning, but they were delighted to meet the First Lady, who was hosted on her visit by the Prime Minister's husband, Philip May.
Did she win you two over?
Absolutely. She won every person she met over. She did. And she came across magic. Absolutely magic. Didn't you, John?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We tried for an invite, didn't we? No, we did. She was brilliant.
I don't think we'll be invited to the White House yet, but you can live in
I
hope.
honestly think she'll go back and think this is one of the better things she did. I honestly do believe that.
She rounded off this trip with a game of bowls. Despite her high heels, she seemed to take it in her stride. Sean Lloyd, BBC News, at the Royal Hospital, Chelsea.
You get to see
Black green
if she was a
bowling,
good shot or not. That's you, in the lovely dress.
Yeah, not crown green. My dad will be shouting at the television, crown green's the better game.
This is beyond 100 days and still to come. It's not over yet. The President is on his way to Scotland. He'll spend the weekend at his Turnberry Golf Resort in Ayrshire. We'll bring you the latest from there. And a little bit more football. The England manager Gareth Southgate has said that the last couple of days have been emotionally very difficult for the squad. He was speaking ahead of tomorrow's third-place playoff against Belgium in St. Petersburg. Mr. Southgate said that the players deserved to finish the tournament well, as our sports editor Dan Rowan now reports for us.
He'd hoped to be preparing his team for a World Cup final this weekend. Instead, England manager Gareth Southgate must somehow lift his players for a match often seen as meaningless. Defeat to Croatia ended their dreams of a first appearance on football's greatest stage for 52 years. And despite a campaign that defied all expectations, the pain is obvious.
Obviously been a really difficult couple of days for us. We were 20 minutes from a World Cup final, and then in extra time 10 minutes from a shootout to get to a World Cup final. So the reason for us being here was to achieve that big goal. So emotionally, a very difficult few days.
England didn't want the final game of their stirring campaign to be here, of course, but now that it is, they'll want to finish on a high. And if they can win here tomorrow and finish third, it'll officially be their most successful World Cup on foreign soil.
We feel we owe it as much to ourselves as our public and our nation, I think now. I think we've brought a lot of pride, but we want to finish the tournament well. We've set a standard in how we work. We've set a standard in the way that we play, and we want to aspire to that level every time we go out.
This will be the second time England have played Belgium at this tournament, the group game in Kaliningrad ending in defeat. England went on to win over the hearts of a nation. The challenge now to go home with one last victory. Dan Rowan, BBC News, St. Petersburg.
Week of confusing messages from Donald Trump. Not only has he been backtracking on the criticism of Theresa May and her Brexit policies we've been speaking about, he singled out Germany for criticism at their NATO summit earlier this week.
And that's not just because of what he believes are its low levels of military spending, but also because of the huge